Hello, hello, it's Lisa, and I wanted to teach you how I like to use mindfulness creating wrapping paper. Yes, that's what I'm doing. I am creating mindfulness and wrapping paper together, and I find that during the holiday Christmas season, making wrapping paper has really helped me just relieve some of that stress that comes with the holidays, and it helps me put my thoughts into order, and it helps my thoughts to get onto paper in a very fun wrapping paper abstract way. So let's get started on how I make some wrapping paper. And there's not a whole lot of tools. I need a paintbrush, and I'm using a flat brush for that. Some paint. I have some white metallic paint, some white regular paint. I have some red paint, and I have 2 colors of green, and that's really all you need is just a little bit of paint. And then from my stash, I have some gold paint, and I have some metallic red paint that I actually never used. But anyways, and then I use some lids and some plastic forks. So I designed each wrapping paper to help me put in perspective my thoughts and feelings about the holiday season, and that's really what it was all about. The first one I designed was these stars and snowflakes. That's what I'm calling it. And it's all about just the feelings of Christmas, the memories I've made, the memories I want to continue, and I'll think about those things while I paint the snowflakes and stars. This one, the green, I call this the pine tree, the pine, and this was all about how you can't always predict how Christmas is going to go, and you can't predict about the emotions that come up during Christmas, and this just helped me work through all the other feelings that maybe came up when I didn't expect it to, and I can put them onto paper and then not forget about those feelings, but feel those feelings and work through those feelings. And this one was really fun. This one was all about getting out all the frustrations, all the mishaps, and all the weird, quirky things that Christmas and the holidays brings. I put onto this paper, and I got this really fun wrapping paper. So let's get started. We're going to start with the stars and snowflakes first. So we'll do that one first. And all I'm doing is I'm going to make some snowflakes. I'll make an X. And this is my way of making snowflakes. I'm not in it to win a design with my awesome painting skills. I'm in it to enjoy this process. And if I remember right, I just kind of had little tails at the end because I can. You can do your snowflake any way you want. There's not a wrong way to do it. And while we're painting, I like to think about maybe the feelings I've had this past week. Do I like things going on? What do I want to do? I'm really in the moment. I'm not trying to think about what I can or can't change. And I think that's what art is so awesome, is that you're just in the moment. I'm also thinking about design elements when I'm doing this. So, for example, this one was big, this one is a little bit smaller, and then I'll do a third one, maybe right here, that is smaller. And that's just like the rules of thirds and design. Nothing too much. And I'm expecting it to look kind of wonky. That's okay. And each wrapping paper I do is a little bit different. And that's okay. Because life is not always about the same stuff all the time. I really enjoy this mindfulness exercise. It helps put me in a happier mood. And I love it. It's just fun. Maybe I'll make a smaller one like this. And this is just white acrylic craft paint. And I'm just going to do some dots. I got a lot of paint on my brush. It's kind of gloopy, so I'm going to do another one over here. See how much paint I had on my brush. Just, you know, when I'm painting, I also like to think about all the happy things that are going on in my life. Not always the crummy things that you wish you could change but can't change. There's a lot of that. So I'll think about how my daughter loves to play her flute, or how my son is dreaming about dinosaurs every night when he wakes up and he has to tell me about his dinosaur dream. It just makes life happier. So anyways, and then I like to make smaller snowflakes. I mean, this is wrapping paper. It's your wrapping paper. Do what you want. The whole point is to just enjoy the process. Forget about the product. Yeah, your product is wrapping paper, but you're making wrapping paper for your enjoyment. It's not necessarily for the person you're giving it to, although it can be. It doesn't have to be. You can, and if it doesn't work out, if you don't like it, just let it go, throw it away, and enjoy the process. And see how this was totally different than the others. That's okay. I also like this exercise when I was practicing, like doing this for my own benefit. I was thinking about commitment, actually, how each brush stroke I had to be committed to each line. I couldn't just stop midway through and say, oh, that's not going to work. I had to be very committed to my brush strokes. And that made me realize, hey, that's what art is all about, is showing up and committing to those. And that's okay. That's good. All right, I like that. Now I'm going to go into my gold dots. I don't need a whole lot, and I just use some metallic paint. I'm going to get my brush really wet. You might not be able to see it too well. I'm just putting in some dots where I feel like it. And if you would rather put in little splatters, do that instead. It's your wrapping paper. You get to do what you want. I also have bought some really pretty, like a plain box in this craft paper to put chocolates in, and treats and cookies. And I plan on painting those too. But oh my gosh, I had so much fun painting this, and I already feel just happier, and my soul feels happy because I put paint onto paper and I got my feelings. Each snowflake was a way to just help my my poor little artist soul feel better about herself. And my artist is very much childlike, and so every time I paint like a child, my artist self is just so happy. And I think it's because I just released a whole bunch of tension and stress while I was painting this. So anyways, there's the final result, and whoever I wrap this up to and give it to is going to just really have a fun time ripping into it. And I'm going to have the satisfaction of wrapping it and then seeing it get torn into pieces, because it's fun. It's wrapping paper. It's supposed to just be a fun mindfulness exercise to let your mind and your thoughts get onto paper. For the green paper, for the green Everbow, or the evergreen paper, I chose to use some green acrylic paint. Nothing fancy by any means. And then I'm taking my fork, and this is mark making at its finest. And I'm going to start, but I'm also going to, and I just start with my fork, and I make some marks all the way down until it reaches the end of. And each mark you make is going to be different, and that's okay. It's supposed to. It's not supposed to look the same. Oops, see, I did not get enough paint on my fork. Now I got too much, but that's okay. It's wrapping paper, and my objective here is not to make a perfect piece of wrapping paper. My objective here is to feel calm and to get my thoughts and feelings onto the paper. So if I am struggling with forgiveness during the holidays, or trying to find more happiness, I would maybe think about, what is it that's not bringing me joy? What can I change? What can I change? Not what can someone else change, but what can I change in my life to help bring me more joy? And sometimes it's slowing down and feeling your feelings. Sometimes it's forgiving someone that is a hard thing to do. Sometimes it's just taking time for yourself and realizing that self-care is a real thing for mothers and for children. And when we take that time to just enjoy life and to really care about yourself, whether that's going for a nice long walk or doing some retail therapy or just doing art therapy and just being in the moment, not thinking about what you're going to cook or what you're going to what so-and-so's doing. It doesn't matter. Be in the moment. When you're in the moment, life, it can transform into this magical place that's full of abundant, life-giving life. And I truly believe that. Isn't that beautiful? Like, there's such a rhythm to this, and it makes me happy. So the whole point of this is to just love the process. I know I mentioned that before. I'm going to mention it again. It doesn't matter if I made a mistake. It doesn't matter if I made a mistake. It just matters that I am trusting myself enough to say, okay, I know this mark. I know I can't control how this fork paints, right? That's the fun part of it. All I can do is trust the process and trust that the rhythm of the art works. I really love painting and repetition. It makes my soul happy. I don't know if it's kind of like handwriting, where when you handwrite enough, like your brain releases some kind of adrenaline or endorphins to say, hey, this is a happy thing. You should do this more often. And I don't think we always take that time. Now, if I were home, if I were to do this and I really needed an outlet, like something, I'll tell you what, Christmas brings out the crazies, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, Christmas is hard for a lot of people. And so when I am in that woe is me mode, right, nothing is going on in my world that is the way I want it to go, and I need, basically, I'm just too stressed to cope. And that happens to the best of us, right? I would take this time when I was practicing this, when I was doing this for my own benefit, I put on some jazz music. I think it might have been Christmas jazz. I honestly don't remember. It was music that I love to listen to calm me down. And I did this, and I thought about how to help me become mindful of the situations that I am in right now. What can I change, if anything? Maybe I just need time to just chill. This was my time to just chill. And if I get some really cool wrapping paper in the process, which I think I did, I had fun with this mark making process, then other people get a benefit from it. And I learned lots of fun ways to make wrapping paper. The hardest part is just stopping and adding more paint. That should be enough. You know, and if you don't like green, I think this would look really pretty with blue, or whatever your favorite color is. Maybe it's yellow. Do white paper with yellow. The point isn't about the product. Again, it's the process. How are you feeling when you're doing this? Are there thoughts and feelings that came up that you weren't expecting? Maybe you're really missing your grandma or your mom, and that's okay. Feel those feelings, man. That's why we have them. We have them. And then when I miss my mom, she passed away about 5 years ago, I will often think about my favorite memories with her, or the things that I hope to continue in my own children's lives because of my mom. And so it's more like a chance for my brain to just cope that, yeah, it's okay. It sucks, and it's too bad that I don't get to call her on a regular basis like I wish I could. But that's okay, because I learned how to get over my grief and to become the best parent I could be. And I don't know if I would have done that if I didn't have that experience. And I know I would. I know I'm a much better friend and mother from that experience. So I'm grateful for that. It's just really fun to put marks on a paper. I think I'll do one more line in the middle. And maybe one right there. I think I like that. There, it's done. That's done. And I'm already feeling my heart just feeling lighter and happier. And what a fun way to spend an afternoon or morning. I really felt like the evergreen was a very peaceful, meditative piece of wrapping paper. that just always puts me in a good mood. It's the strokes, just doing it over and over again, that just makes your mind and body really work together nicely. Okay, we're going to switch things up a little bit, and we're going to use some red. And I have a whole lot of green, but we'll use red for this. And I'll put my red, and I'm just using a paper plate, nothing fancy, nothing that you have to go out and buy a nice palette for. And then I need some more white. And I'm going to want enough to spread around. Alright, and then I'm using lids. These are lids from like a prescription bottle. And I just get a bag. I just save my lids, and then when my husband's a pharmacist, and so he actually brought these home from work, from the bottles that they were just going to recycle. So I have lids. I can get but bottle caps work, milk caps work, juice caps work, whatever you have, use it. It does not have to be anything fancy. So what I like to do is, with this exercise, I call this my get my frustrations out exercise, because you can just be kind of, you don't have to, it's not a dainty, let's be perfect. It's let's stamp this with some paint and just have some fun. And whatever happens, happens. And I'm going to think about all the things that maybe I am struggling with. Maybe it's time management, because there's never enough time in the holidays. Maybe it's maybe it's the people on your naughty list that are just really driving you nuts, right? There's always something that's bugging you. This is the perfect way to just stamp it out. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. I'm not thinking about how, where. It's very much like a Jackson Pollock sort of painting, where I know Jackson Pollock had such an amazing ability to put paint on a canvas and tell a story. What might seem kind of just half-thoughted, that's okay. I'm looking at, like, where do I want my lids to overlap, but I'm not thinking about it hard enough to, like, really position it. I'm just going with it. And if it works, it's great. It's wrapping paper. It's going to look awesome. If it doesn't go, well, that's okay too, because it's wrapping paper. And at some point I like to hold my paint because of my palette. I hope you guys paint along with me. This is really fun. If you cut your paper to about 10 to 11 squares. This is 12 inches by whatever the roll is. Alright, now I'm going to flip over my paper and finish on the other side, and then I'll go to my white. And my fingers are a little bit painty, but not terrible. Like I'm not going off the page. You could if you wanted to bleed. I am not that crazy. It's wrapping paper. Maybe if I was designing this for, like, I don't know, a designer edition wrapping paper, maybe I would, but I think it's just fun to do it like that, to just keep it clean so you don't have to mess up. Sometimes A simple project is all you need to help your heart feel better. And maybe you don't wrap this wrapping paper. Maybe you just give it to a friend that needs some encouragement. How fun would that be? Hey, I was thinking of you when I was making wrapping paper. I thought maybe you could use it for one of your presents. I think that would be such a wonderful gift. People give cards. Why can't people give away wrapping paper? I think it's a great idea. Especially to those people that you're like, I have no idea what to get them. Mindfulness, man, will make you kind. I love it. This is really fun. Now you see that that circle is really close to that red one, like I almost stamped it on top. That's okay. I'm not really annoyed by that. Because I also want to be able to, again, enjoy the process. There is no guilt when making wrapping paper. Oh my gosh, you guys, like, the reason why I like to mark make is because, first off, this can be whatever you want it to be. I call this holly berries because the red circles remind me of holly, and then the white reminds me of the snow that falls on the berries, right? It just does. Does it matter? No. Do I have to tell other people what I think this is? No, it's my interpretation of the world around me on wrapping paper. So it's just it's just fun. You know, you could do this with your kids too and have a wonderful Christmas tradition with making wrapping paper. In fact, when my kids saw this, they're like, Mom, are we going to make it? And I was like, if we have time. We have enough traditions at our house that we can hardly keep them all going at the same time. But yes, if we have time, I would love to do wrapping paper. And we make wrapping paper all the time, actually, for birthdays. So even though it's not Christmas time, most of the cousins usually know that when you get a gift from my kids, it's wrapped in homemade wrapping paper, because my son has apraxia, a childhood apraxia, and to get him to write better and to do fine motor skills better, he has to start big and then, you know, go small. So a lot of times I'll get a big piece of paper out and I say, okay, Harrison, just start painting using, you know, whatever marks. Maybe it's a fork, maybe it's a big paintbrush, maybe it's this, you know, and I just want you to do this. It helps with occupational therapy, but I find this very soothing and just a lot of fun to just make for like mindfulness exercises, I think. And I'm getting some green in my in my white. And I think I'm about done. I don't think I'm going to do a whole lot more with the white. So I'm starting to get green, but that's okay, because now you can either save your lids. I'm just going to toss them because I don't really need to save them. They serve their purpose. Now I'm going to take my paintbrush that I used for my snowflakes, and I'm going to wet this acrylic paint with a little bit of water. I'm adding a little bit of water to this gold metallic paint, and I'm just kind of making it kind of watery, kind of like melted buttery consistency, I guess is a good way. I don't know. And it does take a little bit of time to get it started. But it's like an acrylic glaze, or depending on how much water you put on. But so because I have leftover paint in my palette, that's the only reason why I'm doing this. You don't have to. I'm just going to splatter. And I didn't get enough water, so I'm going to add more water. There. This is looking really good. And then I'm just going to splatter, splatter, splatter. I'm going to do the same thing with the red and the green too. Why not? And I like to splatter. This is like my last. Okay, get those frustrations on the paper. If you had any more frustrations left after this wonderful art therapy, creating mindfulness experience. I can't call myself an art therapist because I never went to school for therapy. I just know as a stay-at-home mom that we are creative beings and we need art or some kind of creative outlet in our lives. This is a fun way to do that. Okay, now I'm going to take the green and I'm going to splatter the green and try to not get it all over my stuff. But you get the point. Like, it's just a fun thing to do, and that's a lot of green right there. Anyways, I've had fun making this wrapping paper. It's been a really fun time. My point is have fun with the products that you have. If you don't want to make wrapping paper, make gift tags. Cut this paper into small and do the same thing. You can still make a really fun pattern on like a 3x5 gift tag or whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is to help your mind become clear so that you feel a bit more peaceful, happier, and calmer. It's not going to change all the world's problems in one day, but you can at least enjoy the process, escape from whatever issues you have, and just have fun. That's what it's about. It's about using your mind to escape the pressures of life and to enjoy the process so that you can come back to whatever problems you have with a clear mind so that you can choose the best choice that you can make. And that I know. So enjoy your holiday season. Enjoy this mindfulness exercise. And I will see you soon. Thanks for watching.